Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. We're getting close to the end of Book of Backgrounds. This is getting exciting. So for this particular design, I'm going to be working on two sides. I decided that the actual covers for the Book of Backgrounds, instead of doing one Book of Backgrounds for the front, one Book of Backgrounds for the back, one for the inside cover, one for the... I decided that the actual covers, outside covers, are going to be done in one video. And the inside covers, I decided to combine a different background and collage it on. And when it comes to the covers, I will show you that in a separate video. So I get to do a couple of extra backgrounds now that I've eliminated those. And for this particular one, I'm going to be trying something new. I don't know if this is going to work. And I was going to try it first, because if it didn't work, I wasn't going to do it on camera. But what's the worst that can happen? I keep preaching, just do it. If it doesn't work, oh well. So I did have to do a little bit of planning to find a stencil that would work with this. My intention is, I was inspired by my walk this morning. It was only 6 degrees outside, considering a few days ago it was like 35. And the sun was just starting to come up, and it was this amazing color. It was unreal. And in the evening now, because it gets dark, it's getting darker faster, I was inspired by the sunset from last night. So I'm going to work on something with that. So I did have to plan the colors a bit and the stencils. So the prep work for this is to apply gesso, and I'm using 140-pound mixed media paper. It's already primed, but I'm just going to show you, I'm going to change it up because I want texture in this. I've got my gesso, and I've got my number 8 Bristle Bright, and I've got a palette knife. So I'm going to, and I'm working on an unstick craft mat. So I can apply the gesso. Oh God, guess who's here? She was quiet all day. So I can apply the gesso with the brush, and then if I make the movement, you should be able to see, I tilted the lights so you can see a bit of this. Okay, texture there. I'm going to go almost to the bottom. And because I live on Hamilton Mountain, I thought I was getting some texture in that. So I'm going to take a little bit of gesso and just from the bottom, work that up. And this palette knife is from the texture toolkit from Deco Art. Nice thing about these plastic ones, they don't rust. So just get a little bit of texture. I'm going to put a little bit more. And it's just going to add a little bit of rougher texture on top of something that's very, very delicate. And I'm loading the gesso on the palette knife flat. And just letting the palette knife skim the paper. Do you know who is really good at doing this? Okay, going back to Bob Ross, when he would create his mountain mixes, and he'd flatten it out, and then he'd cut it and take a little bit off, and he had, oh, that, I can remember that. Every time I do this technique, that's all I think about. Okay, just a little bit of texture, not too much. I'm not going to avoid this area right here. Okay. Let me just add a little bit more here, and you'll see why. Okay, I'm going to clean the palette knife. I'm going to put that aside, and I'm just going to clean up here, and I'm going to let that gesso dry. And we come back, we're going to get started, and basically everything is in one fluid step. So I brought out the palette paper so you could see the true colors of the yellow. On the unstick, it kind of gets affected. So I've got Hansa Yellow Light and Hansa Yellow Medium, and with these, you see the two different yellows in there? Okay, I'm going to use a damp 1-inch brush. I'm going to start out with the Hansa yellow light, and I'm going to paint all over the background. This is going to be done wet on wet. Okay, I'm not going to cover everything. Then I'm going to go with the Hansa yellow medium, and I'm going to paint in the rest. And if it overlaps, it doesn't matter. But we do need a little bit of contrasting colors in there. I had some glare from the camera, so I'm just going to turn this a little bit. And you'll know why I put a lot of texture at the top. Go. And if there's a little bits missing, it doesn't matter. If you wanted to, if you had textured paper towel, let's get one that's dry. You can take the textured paper towel and just gently press, and it'll remove a little bit of the paint. You don't need to do this. I just want to see what would happen. When I'm painting, I should put dividers so I can't see anything on the outside, because I looked at it, oh, what if we did this? Yeah, see? Now, I don't know about you, but on the monitor, the TV monitor, this paint looks green, so I don't know what it looks like on your end. I don't need that anymore, and hope chaos doesn't jump. So I'm going to quickly dry this. Now we're going to do some dripping. So Derelid yellow. We're actually going to do this one first, and I'm going to use a number 8 round brush. I'm going to try this first, and if that doesn't work, it should. I can use an eyedropper. I got a little eyedropper. I'll use that. Lots of water, and you know what? Oh, you know what would have worked? Deco Art Media Misters. See, I should put blinders on. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want to load this first. Have the paint quite translucent. And then drip it. These are too perfect. I don't like it. I'm going to stop right there. Too perfect. Just going to darken up that top a bit. And now you can let this dry the way it is. I'm just going to touch the paper towel. I don't want to pick it up. I don't pick it up all. I don't want to pick it all up. I just want to just a light blot, because this part is just being set in the background. And although I did forget to do it, make sure that you rotate your paper towel so you don't smudge it. I'm going to quickly dry this. All right, I'm going to move that aside. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of vermilion in that same mix. And I'm going to go to a smaller brush. I'm going to use use a liner brush. Let's see what we get with the liner brush. So that's all mixed up. Now I'm going to take that liner brush, clean water, and I'm just going to draw some lines. You won't be able to see it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. And start dripping. And it should catch. You should catch some of those lines that I drew in, which have now dried already. I could rinse the brush and just put some drops of water to get them going. You can spray a little bit. Oh, that's pretty. To help it along. And with all that texture in there with the gesso, it also changes how things are moving. You can do this 50 times and you'll get 50 different prints. Okay, let me dry this again. Okay, now I'm going to take just vermilion. So I'm building up the depth of all these. And this time, let's try just spraying it up first. And let's get some water. See, that's perfect. Get the paint at the top. And you can do this as many times as you want. This I'm going to let drip right off the page. You can do this as many times as you want. Really with whatever colors you want. I want a little bit more happening here. Make some areas strong with color. Make some areas weak. Just picking some little spots here. And although I'm showing you how to do this, yours won't turn out the same because it's completely based upon the texture of your paper. I put quite a bit over here. It's all textured right here. Okay, let me wipe this up. Let me wipe this up. I'm going to dry this one more time, and then we're going to start doing some stenciling. There we go. You can see all that texture. All right. The stencils I'm going to be using, I'm actually going to put a quote on this, so I'm going to be using this book of backgrounds as an actual prompt to create the artwork. So this is the new Deco Art line of stencils called Personally Yours. And it's the Urban Ink line, and this one's called Strength. I've used this one before in a previous background. I used the rock and roll one. This one's going to be Chase the Sunset. And I'm putting that right here. And then I'm going to use this one here, Radical Rays, and I'm going to brush on triple thick, very lightly, and then we're going to sprinkle on some Glamour dust. I'm not a mega huge fan of using glitter and stuff, but this stuff is so powdery fine, and I kind of know the effect that I want to go with. So that's going right here. And I'm going to be using the Decor Media Fluid Acrylics. I'm using Quinacridone Burnt Orange. And I'm going to get a paper towel. This one here I want very light. And I'm using a Clear Choice stencil brush that's very flat on the end. Load the brush and then blot the excess on the paper towel. And you don't need a lot of paint for this. And this is translucent. So the yellow is going to shine through. There we go. That's all we needed. Let me just quickly clean this. If you clean your stencils as you're using them, it makes the cleanup part much easier. When you've got them where the paint's dried up on them, it's so much harder to clean them. But you know what? I've done it, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to quickly hit this with the heat gun. That's all we needed. So when I actually get to work on the other side, I'm going to put some tape and wax paper to protect this. Okay. That was still a little bit wet. This I've never done before. I have no idea if it's going to work. I have no idea if it's going to work. So I want to figure out about placing I wanted the focal, well, I'm gonna have to put the focal point over here now. So I'm gonna put the focal point right here. I want to make sure I don't overlap this. So when it comes time to the actual dug portion, which is phase 2 of creating the artwork, my focal point is going to be right about here. Although this page, the way it's going now, it could probably be used by itself as standalone art. Low tack masking tape. And when I peel, I'm going to peel this way and then on the bottom. Like that. Okay. I want to make sure I peel it where I don't slide it. It's got to come up. I'll have to make sure I clean the table right away. Although this is an unstick mat, when the triple thick dries on this, it's a little bit more difficult to clean. It does come clean. It's a little bit more difficult. So I'm holding the stencil flat because the paper's curled a little bit. Putting on a super thin layer. And this will dry translucent. If you put it on too thick, it's going to, it self-levels, so we don't want it to do that. And but if it does, oh well. That's why I was saying I have no idea if this is going to work. Using a small brush, using the Aqualon number 12 shader, small brush so I don't overload. And I'm leaving the stencil on for a couple of seconds extra to give this paint or this gloss glaze time to set. And I'm also only going to be sprinkling the Glamour dust on while it's still a little bit tacky. Just looking to make sure I don't have any dry spots in here. Especially through the texture. I have a terrible glare. All right, so lift this up. I have to clean. I have to clean that right away. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a baby wipe and just going to lay it right on top, and this will just prevent it from drying out. Okay, and another piece of palette paper. Just going to sprinkle this. This way you have to make sure that the background is dry. Making sure I have good coverage in there. Do not, under any circumstances, blow on this, because you're going to put this stuff all up in the air. And you do not want to be inhaling this stuff. Okay, I'm just going to take a bit bigger than that. Gonna wipe away a little bit of the glitter where it doesn't belong. And don't heat set this, whatever you do. This is not embossing powder. Okay, this part here, that dried already. It missed a little bit right here. So that's that. And I'm going to take this and put it back in the container. And there's still some dust in here, which I will just tap into the garbage can. So that's it. So this was a micro thin layer. It's already starting to dry. I'm going to wait about a half an hour, and I'm going to check it, and then we'll come back. If it's not dry, then we'll wait a little bit longer. What I want to test though is when this is dry, this should actually be, it is pretty translucent. I want to see the permanence to see if the actual glitter is stuck inside the triple thick, or if it will come off. If it'll come off, then I'll apply some Duraclear to it. But the whole purpose was the actual sunburst to stand out with the triple thick, and then a little bit of glitter. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, so we'll be back in a little bit. Here's a really nice close-up. Look at that beautiful shine. There's that texture. So in this experiment, I'm thinking I probably could put a little bit more triple thick on there to really make that a little bit more dimensional. And it does stay on, it doesn't come off. I love that texture in there. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and got some ideas on how you can use different types of mediums to create different type of effects. And I would love to hear your comments below of different ideas you can think about how to use the mediums with, let's say, some glitter, some rhinestones, whatever type of embellishments that typically wouldn't be used together. If you'd like to see more experiments like this, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so before. And if you've done any of the projects from the Book of Backgrounds or any of my videos, I would love to see a picture. You can either email it to me or better yet, share it in our private Facebook group. Links to both of those are available at my website at artplace.ca. So I'm going to clean up my desk and I'm going to get ready for the next project. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Stay inspired.